From a secret bunker to house members of Congress, to a place designed to rebuild the food supply during an apocalypse. Today we look at the 10 most heavily guarded places on Earth. Number 10. Granite Mountain Record Vault. Owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this vault rests in the Wasatch Mountain Range, which straddles the Utah-Idaho border. In the mid-1800s, the LDS Church began collecting its genealogical records in book form and only began the process of shifting the microfilm in the late 1930s. Built in 1965, the Granite Mountain Record Vault was built in order to protect these records from natural disasters and decay. It lies nearly 700 feet under the mountain and presently houses the world's largest collection of genealogical records. These records have been collected as a result of partnerships with libraries, churches, and archives across more than 100 countries. Inside this vault rests over 3.5 billion records of family history on microfilm, microfiche, and digital media. The LDS Church began its efforts to digitize the vault's contents in 1999, and these records can be partially accessed through FamilySearch.org. 60 staff members manage 65,000 square feet of records and shuffle between tunnels that are 25 feet wide to make it to 6 storage areas. Number 9. Svalbard Global Sea Vault. Commonly referred to as the Doomsday Seed Vault, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault rests on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen, 800 miles from the North Pole. It was built to last at least 200 years. As stated on the vault's website, the purpose of the vault is to store duplicates or backups of seed samples from the world's crop collection. It will secure for centuries millions of seeds representing every important crop variety available in the world today. It is the final backup. There are 5 sets of doors in the tunnel leading to the vault. As you pass through each of them, the temperature drops. The vault is buried deep within a mountain to preserve it under a thick layer of permafrost, where year-round the temperature is consistently -4 degrees. Beyond the 5th set of doors rest 3 vaults. Only one is currently in use. Within it, over 1 million varieties of seeds from every corner of the world are stored. The facility has strict rules regarding which seeds can and cannot be stored within. The engineers forbid the storage of genetically modified materials. Number 8. Vatican Archives. In its over 400-year history, the Vatican Archives has managed to amass 53 miles of shelving upon which rests documents spanning over 12 centuries. These documents are only made accessible to the public once they turn at least 75 years old. It wasn't until 1881 that Pope Leo VIII opened the vaults up to researchers. Though, even today, would-be researchers have to endure an extensive vetting process before being permitted access. The Vatican decided to celebrate the archive's quarter-centenary by opening certain documents to the public, aiming to dispel some of the myths surrounding the Vatican's secrecy, which were spurned by the wild success of Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code. The archives are housed behind St. Peter's Basilica, and the path to the entrance is guarded by members of the Swiss Guard and Gendarmerie alike. Number 7. Fort Knox. Fort Knox, or as it's more formally called, the United States Bullion Depository, was built in the winter of 1936 in northern Kentucky, in an area that rested far enough inland to be protected from an assault by sea and was shielded by the Appalachian Mountains. Its present gold holdings total roughly 150 million ounces, which loosely translates into over $100 billion worth of gold. In December of 1941, the building's gold holdings peaked at 650 million ounces. Though it was originally kept as a backup currency, the U.S. went off the gold standard in 1971. In August of 2017, Fort Knox opened its vaults for the first time in 40 years, albeit only to a select few politicians. The vaults are 27 inches thick, made of steel and concrete, and said to be impervious to attack. Every corner of the repository is equipped with high-tech security technology. In addition to this, there are 4 armed sentinel stations at ground level, tinted fire and bulletproof windows, and 3 separate outside barriers. The staff operates on a random time schedule, and no 2 staff members have the same codes to the vaults. Number 6. ADX Florence Prison. The United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado, commonly referred to as ADX Prison, is America's highest security federal prison. Zacarias Moussaoui, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, and Ted Kaczynski are a few famous inmates at ADX, which is colloquially referred to as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Former inmates have described the place as hell, replete with 7 by 12 concrete cells in which prisoners spend all but 2 hours a day. It was designed so that prisoners had no view of the sky and really no view of any of the world at large. ADX has 6 security levels for each of the 490 beds it contains. Over the years, numerous former inmates have filed complaints surrounding the dehumanizing conditions of this bleak facility. Number 5. The Greenbrier. The Greenbrier Resort was built in the late 18th century and rests in the Allegheny Mountains in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Behind the palatial facade rests a secret history. A bunker, designed to house members of Congress in the event of an emergency, was built under the property's grounds and was codenamed Project Greek Island. According to its website, during the Eisenhower era, the bunker, occupying a space similar to a Walmart, was equipped with 4 entrances, a 25-ton blast door, decontamination chambers, 18 dormitories designed to accommodate over 1,100 people, a power plant with purification equipment, a communications area, a clinic with 12 hospital beds, medical and dental operating rooms, a laboratory, a pharmacy, an intensive care unit, a cafeteria, and meeting rooms for the House and Senate. Though in 1992 the facility's existence was exposed by the Washington Post, and as a result the government terminated their lease with Greenbrier in 1995, in its heyday the facility was maintained by government workers, posing as hotel audiovisual staff who operated under a cover company named Forsyth Associates. Number 4. Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank first opened its doors at 33 Liberty Street in New York in November 1914. Currently, its vaults house 224.1 million ounces of gold. It is the central bank of the United States and was established to serve the public interest. The President of the United States appoints all 7 members of the board, and the Senate confirms them. It serves several main functions, chief among them being the shaping of our country's economic policies. It's difficult for any layperson to get a firm understanding of what the Fed is and is not, but Henry Ford said it best in his 1923 biography when he wrote, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." It's worth noting that in its 100-plus year history, the Fed has never been fully audited by any outside source. Leaving this aside, let's focus on the building itself. The gold vault rests on the basement floor of the building and houses gold that belongs exclusively to its patrons and not the Fed itself. Once a customer agrees to store their gold, the bars are transported by elevator to the basement, after which they become the responsibility of 3 members of the vault staff. All bars are then weighed and tested before their markings are examined for accuracy, and finally placed in one of its 122 compartments. Number 3. Korean Demilitarized Zone. This area is effectively the border between North and South Korea and spans a 160-mile-long, 2.5-mile-wide zone. Also known as the DMZ, it is the ceasefire line which was drawn up between the North and the South. While tourists are allowed access to the joint security area where both countries hold meetings with each other, this access is only granted once they sign a waiver in which they accept the possibility of injury or losing their life. Peace villages are said to exist on either side of the door. The southern village is called Daesang-dong, and the northern village is called Kijang-dong. While North Korea has claimed that people do genuinely occupy the village, a preponderance of sources contend that it is a propaganda village, noting that it consists of mainly brightly colored concrete houses which bear no windows or electric lights, considered a luxury for most rural North Korean households, which appear to operate on timers. Number 2. The White House. James Madison oversaw the first iteration of White House security in 1812, when he had a company of 100 militiamen stationed on the North Lawn. James Monroe adapted this to guards who worked in plain clothes as guides by day and protected the White House by night. The Van Buren administration added both day and night guards. The 1850s saw the first presidential bodyguards in addition to guarded inner and outer perimeters. Generals stationed over 3,500 guards in and around Washington during the time of Lincoln's transition into the presidency. But Lincoln, not wanting the building to appear as it were a fortress, reverted to a plainclothes by day, security by night team of guards. It wasn't until 1901 that Congress began asking for Secret Service protection. Roosevelt was the first president to benefit from their services. In the modern day, security provisions include infrared sensors and ballistic glass which outfit every single window of the White House. The area above and around the White House is a no-fly zone. Anyone who enters the building must first pass a background check before making it to a physical scan by a magnetometer. In addition to the 7.5-foot fence surrounding the property, there are also concrete blockades at street level to ward off any would-be car attacks. All food that enters the White House must pass an inspection at an off-site facility, and the building also boasts an air filtration system which keeps all contaminants from its environment. Whenever the president enters or exits the building, he does so under the protection of an entire SWAT team, which has positioned itself on the roof. Lastly, the president's PEOC, or Presidential Emergency Operations Center, lies beneath the East Wing and serves as a temporary shelter in case of an emergency. Number 1. Area 51. Area 51 sits just 75 miles north of Las Vegas, Nevada. A lot of secrecy surrounds this site, and as a result, a lot of conspiracy theories have cropped up since its inception. The high desert near Groom Lake was used to test foreign radar systems, host Soviet MiG fighters, and test at least 2 aircraft prototypes. A place kept so secret that its existence is still officially denied by the United States government. Area 51 rests to the northeast of the Nevada test site, where Operation Plum Bob was carried out between May and October 1957. The operation was comprised of a series of large detonation tests, all visible from downtown Las Vegas. The only way to get a legal look at some of the buildings is to climb to the top of Tikaboo Peak, a vantage point some 26 miles away, and use binoculars. Built in 1965, the Granite Mountain Record Vault was built in order to protect these records from natural disasters and decay. It lies nearly 700 feet under the mountain and presently houses the world's largest collection of genealogical records. These records have been collected as a result of partnerships with libraries, churches, from a secret bunker to house members of Congress, to a place designed to rebuild the food supply during an apocalypse. Today, we look at the 10 most heavily guarded places on Earth. Number 10. And archives across more than 100 countries. Inside this vault rests over 3.5 billion records of family history on microfilm, microfiche, and digital media. The LDS Church began its efforts to digitize the vault's contents in 1999, and these records can be partially accessed through FamilySearch.org. 60 staff members manage 65,000 square feet of records and shuffle between tunnels that are 25 feet wide to make it to 6 storage areas. Number 9. Svalbard Global Sea Vault. Commonly referred to as the Doomsday Seed Vault, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault rests on the Granite Mountain Record Vault. Owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this vault rests in the Wasatch Mountain Range, which straddles the Utah-Idaho border. In the mid-1800s, the LDS Church began collecting its genealogical records in book form and only began the process of shifting the microfilm in the late 1930s.